I want to bring you a story about the playful, delightful Indian god of love, Krishna. There are many Krishna stories throughout India, and they tell about the divine beloved as child, as playmate, as rebel, lover, teacher, and friend. This particular story, very special story, and I thought it would be nice to invite someone who could tell it more personally, who was actually there. She's not easy to reach, but I tried and found her, invited her, and to my great surprise and joy, she agreed to come. So I'm inviting her onto the stage, and I think you'll enjoy her story a lot. Hello, hello, you good people. So nice to see you all, and so nice to be here in this place, you know, to tell story about my dear boy Krishna. And this story, you know, we call it the Mudmouth story, and it's a very special story, very dear to my heart. I'm going to sit down, you know. When you are 3,700 years old, your knees have gone long ago, and you get tired quite quickly. So, Mudmouth story, it was you see, for me this story, anyone older than me here? No. Okay. My name is Yashoda. Yashoda. And I am a mother of Krishna. I call him my boy, and he is my son, and he is also not my son. Nobody older than me, then I can put this down. And so, you see, for me this story begins with this jamun tree in our yard, in the back of the house. We lived in a little village in a land in India called Gokula. And in our house, we had this tall jamun tree. A jamun is a purple fruit, a little bit like purple plums. Not too sour, not too sweet, and very full of juice. So in June, July, when the fruit is ripe, we climb up to get the fruit before the birds get there. And we had this tree, and when I was a little girl, I also used to climb the tree. The branches are quite far apart, but I used to climb and stretch, because I thought if I stretch like that, maybe I would become a little taller. Yes, we human beings, you know, we think like that. So I grew up next to this tree. We used to climb all the way up as far as I could go, and I would look out over the village, and I would look out on the forest, and I would see our cows. We are a cow herding people. I would see our cows, and also sometimes I would sit there and wait. You know, I don't know what for. I didn't know what for. Anyway, slowly, quickly, I grew up. I became a woman like my mother. One day, I got married to this good man. His name was Nand. Nand. His father was the headman of the village, and very nice man, Nandji. Because my father was passed away, Nandji came and lived in our house. We were happy. And we had a boy, his name was Balaram. Very nice boy, Balaram. Strong boy. From young time already he wanted to go out, always go out into the field. He wanted to be a farmer. He didn't want to be a cowherd. Strong boy, always wanting to do things. Now, okay, all this time I didn't know, but Krishna was coming. Krishna. Who was Krishna? You see, this is a complicated story. I was pregnant, and the wise woman said I was going to have a girl. One day, a messenger came from the palace, from Princess Devaki to Nandji's father, who was the headman, saying that Princess Devaki, we loved Devaki ji. Everybody loved Devaki ji. She was going to have a son. And the son was in danger because the boy's uncle would kill him. You know, I told you, it is a complicated story. You people have a good saying, long story short. So, long story short, this boy was born to Devaki ji. Secretly, he came to me. My girl went to her. She gave up her boy. I gave up my girl. We became sister mothers. I was happy to save this boy's life, but I missed my daughter. But it had to be done, and boy was sweet. I think he felt my pain and he helped me. And this was baby Krishna. And I nursed him, and Nandji and I, we raised him like our own. Of course. This Krishna baby, he was so beautiful. Curly hair, dark, and beautiful eyes, long eyelashes, and such a smile. No, when he smiled, you had to pick him up. And then the whole world was in your arms. Like that. And he loved the moon. A little baby, what can you see? Nothing. He's holding his arms up to the moon like that. And then in the moonlight, his beautiful dark skin would be the color of lovely, lovely rain clouds that come at monsoon time. Oh. And something, quite quickly we noticed, Nandji and I, something special about this boy. We couldn't describe it even, but we knew this was something divine. This child was holy. But it was a naughty holiness, very playful. He was full of masti, mischief. We say masti. He was full of mischief, and people would be so upset with him because he was making mischief all the time. And they would come and want to be angry with him, and they would come in the room where he was, and they would forget why they were there. And then they would see the Krishna, and Krishna would look at them, and they would smile and walk away like a kind of trance, Not even know why they had come. Yes, we saw your sister-in-law in the marketplace, and she said you were doing well. We came by to say hello. Krishna, sweet child, so greedy. I mean, he's stealing food from everybody, especially butter. And people go and catch him red-handed, and he puts it, half of it, all of it in his mouth, trying to look innocent. Some of it is still in his hands, but he's shaking his head. No, not me. Greedy. Butter. You know, we had cows, and we lived from the cows. So the young girls in the village, they used to milk the cows. Oh, these hard chairs, you know, these last 1,000 years, these hard chairs. So these girls, they milk the cows and they churn the butter and they set the curds, you know, yogurt. Krishna, when the little cows were born, he would go and open the door and shoo out the calves. Then the girls had to go chasing after the calves, he would go and grab the butter. And of course, if you caught him, you know, 2 tricks. One, I'm innocent, it wasn't me, it was the monkeys. Or, and nobody could stand to see Krishna cry. So he was always getting away with all this. You know, such a child. He also did not get on so well with Balaram because I was always, you know, I was nice to Krishna, Nanji was nice to Krishna, and Balaram would get so fed up. You know, he tried to be the big man in the family. He used to twirl his mustache and say, "Ma, tell boy to get out of my business." I would say, "Bala, what business?" And he would walk away as though I would never understand. "Please, can I have some water?" I say. So, and those girls, you know, I mentioned earlier, these cowgirls, later on, they all became infatuated with Krishna. I mean, such stories I can tell you. No, and I can't tell them. What a boy. So, one day, it was time. The jamun was ripe. And Bala decided to climb up the tree and pick jamuns with his friends. All big boys like him. Krishna said, "I want to come also." They said, "No, you're too small to climb the tree. You stay here." They didn't want to be bothered with this little 2-year-old, 2.5-year-old. Krishna said, no, I want to come, I want to come. But they were no. Young boys are like that. They can say no. No, you stay here, you're not coming. And they were leaving. Krishna put out his hand and caught Balarama's leg. And suddenly Bala couldn't. So quickly Bala said to the others, "Oh, we'll take him. He can stay on the ground and gather the fruit that we pick from up." So Krishna went out with them, and he was told, you know, because they knew Krishna, "You don't eat any of that fruit that we are picking. We will all come down together and we will share it. You will get some, but no eating before that." Krishna, of course, didn't talk much, but he shook his head, you know, that Indian handshake. You don't know what it means. Maybe, very interesting, good idea. What are we doing tomorrow? So anyway, they went, boys went up the tree, fruit came down. Krishna, he wanted to be good. He wanted to be accepted by the big boy. He's picking the fruit, he's gathering it, he's putting it together, he's going running there on his little legs, and running there on his little legs, he's trying to put it together. But after a little while, one fruit on the pile, one fruit in his mouth. One fruit on the pile, one fruit in his mouth. Then one fruit on the pile, 2 fruit in his mouth. Then one fruit on the pile, a bunch in his mouth. And suddenly his mouth is filling up. Now, the juice of this purple fruit, right? It's all over his face. And it had been raining, so rain everywhere, there's mud. The mud is going in his mouth along with the fruit also. So there's mud streaking on his face, there's purple juice on his face, and his hands are going like little, as fast as he can. So greedy, how much can I cram in my thing before they see me? Of course, one boy, he looked down because he knew Krishna. Everybody knew Krishna, but he saw and he started shouting, "Krishna is eating the fruit!" One head, two head, three head pop out of the tree. Everyone looks down. Krishna is eating the fruit. They're shouting to Bala, "Bala, what are you doing? Your brother is eating the fruit." Bala and two boys come sliding down the tree as fast as they can, and they start shaking Krishna. "Why are you eating the fruit? Why are you eating the fruit?" Krishna's mouth is full. He can't open it. He doesn't dare say anything because if he opens his mouth, fruit will come pouring out. And he's shaking his head. And then they're still shaking him and say, "Why are you eating the fruit?" And tears start to come. And Bala is disgusted because he knows what is going to happen. So he decides to come into the house and complain to me. Now I am having just a little bit of rest. You'll never get rest with those two boys. I am having little bit of rest. He comes inside. "Ma, Yashoda ma, boy is eating mud." See, Bala also very clever. If he had said, "Boy is eating fruit," I would have said, "Share the fruit. He's your brother." But I had told Krishna, "You must never eat mud because we have cows. And the cows go everywhere. They go everywhere." Yes. Yes. So I covered my head and came out, and the boys are shouting at Krishna, and "Krishna is eating mud." I said, "Krishna, have you been eating mud?" And Krishna looks at me, shaking his head, and tears are coming down, and there's purple juice on his face, and mud on his face, and he's looking comical and tragical at the same time. Bala says to me, "Ma, tell him to open his mouth." Krishna gave Bala such a dirty look. His own brother betraying him. All the other children then shouting, "Tell him to open his mouth! Tell him to open his mouth!" So I said, "Krishna, open your mouth." Krishna looked at me for one moment like, "Are you sure?" I was determined to be strict. I said, "Krishna, open your mouth now." He looked at me and smiled and opened his mouth. And I leaned over to look inside, and I was suddenly felt I was floating in space and lost in time. Because inside Krishna's mouth was the whole complete, total universe of moving and unmoving creation. The seas and the lands of the earth were in there, and all life. Mountains, valleys, oceans, volcanoes, trees, plants, animals, birds, fruit, people. There were animals from the past and creatures from the future. There were entities from the smallest insect to the greatest goddesses and gods. I saw the moon, and I saw the planets, and I saw the space between them. And then from behind them came the stars and the constellations. And then, galaxies. And the galaxies multiplied and grew wide and spiraled off into the cosmos. And the whole parade was turning and turning, wheeling across this huge, vast expanse of infinity. And then I saw all time. I saw all the days of yesterday. I saw all the days of tomorrow. And I knew that not one moment, not one year, not one yuga was missing. And I knew that all the creatures and all the places, the grains of sand, the villages, the constellations, even me, we had not been missed. Because right there, I saw our land and our village. And then I saw our house and the jamun tree. And next to the jamun tree was me. And next to me was Krishna with his mouth open. And inside that mouth was another whole universe. And inside that, another universe. And on and on and on. I was dizzy. I was spinning. I nearly fell. Krishna! Krishna! I cried out his name like a lifeline. Krishna! Krishna looked at me and closed his mouth. In that moment, I almost forgot what had happened. I said, Krishna, why have you been eating mud? And then I remembered, this being has the whole universe in himself, and I am worried about a few grains of sand. I picked up my boy and I grabbed him to me, and I was crying and trembling and laughing, and I said, Krishna, oh my boy Krishna, oh my God, who are you? Who are you? What are you? And I carried him. I was stumbling and bumbling into the house, and I was almost dazed and falling over. But as we got inside the door of the house, this baby, this Krishna baby, he put his arm around my neck. And I began to laugh like a mad woman, because I knew that he needed me. He needed me. My boy needed me. Later on, Balaram told me that the boys were very disappointed, but also they were not surprised. They said, you know, you can never tell with adults what they are going to do. They expected to see Krishna being punished by an angry mother, and instead I had picked him up and I was half hysterical myself and kissing him and crying, and they thought, you never know with adults. Okay. Then I will take my bag now and go back to the streets outside where I came from, and thank you all and bless you.